You walk past your plant and something feels off. The leaves are drooping, the color looks dull, and suddenly that once thriving plant looks like it's giving up. A collapsed plant is signaling a specific biological requirement. Responding to that signal correctly can bring the plant back to full health in just a few hours. Think of your plant as a tiny water system. Inside every leaf and stem, water pressure, called turgor pressure, is what physically holds the plant upright. When that internal pressure drops, the structure collapses on itself. That mechanical failure is what we call wilting. Because wilting is a mechanical symptom, there are a few different triggers. Blindly adding water without diagnosing the root cause is a fast way to kill the plant. Step 1 for any drooping plant is checking the subsurface moisture. You do this with a simple finger test. Stick your finger a few centimeters down into the soil. If the soil feels completely dry below the surface, the root system is critically dehydrated and cannot generate turgor pressure. Your instinct might be to grab a watering can and sprinkle the top of the dirt. Skip that. Splashing the surface completely bypasses the primary root mass deeper down, where the actual water absorption happens. Instead, pick the plant up and take it to a sink. Water it thoroughly until you see excess water actively draining out of the bottom holes. You want to completely saturate that root ball. Then you wait. Within a few hours, the roots pull that moisture back into the cellular structure, and the plant recovers in real time. Fixing dehydration requires physically forcing water deep enough into the dirt to restart the plant's internal pressurization system. But what if you do the finger test and the soil is wet and heavy, yet the plant is still drooping? When saturated soil displaces all the oxygen, the roots literally cannot breathe. Suffocated roots begin to rot. Once that outer layer decays, it permanently loses the ability to absorb moisture. The plant loses pressure because it is suffocating, despite being surrounded by water. If you catch this early, stop watering immediately. Move the plant to a brighter area to speed up evaporation, and gently loosen the topsoil to reintroduce airflow. If root rot has already set in, you have to extract the plant. Trim off the dark, slimy, dead zones until you only see firm, healthy root structures, then repot it in fresh, highly aerated soil. Overwatering is a critical failure of oxygenation. Adding water to a wet, wilting plant drowns an organism that is already suffocating. Now let's look at a third, more deceptive scenario. The soil is perfectly moist, but the plant is still wilting, usually during peak afternoon hours. On a hot day, ambient heat causes the plant to transpire, or sweat, moisture out of its leaves faster than its root system can physically pump replacement water up from the soil. This wilting is an active, protective reflex. The plant is intentionally collapsing its structure to shrink its leaf surface area and hide from harsh solar radiation to conserve internal moisture. Do not add extra water. Instead, physically move the plant out of the direct sunbeams and place it in a softer, indirect light zone. When a plant uses wilting as a defense shield against the environment, the soil chemistry is irrelevant. You have to manipulate the environment itself. We can stop these emergencies before they start. Biological organisms thrive in steady conditions, whereas they struggle with extreme swings between bone-dry droughts and soaking floods. To maintain a steady balance, abandon your strict calendar-based watering schedules. Rely entirely on the biological feedback you gather by doing the finger test regularly. And check your hardware. Decorative pots without drainage holes create invisible, localized flooding zones. The surface might feel dry, but your lowest roots are sitting in a pool of trapped water. Pay attention to your indoor climate control too. The constant airflow from AC vents and ceiling fans will strip moisture from your leaves much faster than a static room. Let's recap the 3 rules. If the soil is dry, hydrate it deeply. If it's wet, let it dry out and improve airflow. If it's hot, reduce the stress by adjusting the light. Plants rely on an evolutionary resilience forged over millions of years. This allows them to use the wilting signal as a mechanical alarm to survive periods of intense stress. By learning to diagnose the specific biological trigger behind that droop, you upgrade from passively guessing. You start confidently managing a communicative, highly resilient living system.